You're listening to the podcast that's right, about nothing. It's available on YouTube, Stitcher, and SoundCloud.com. Welcome to another episode of the podcast About Nothing. And we are keeping our indie creator theme because we have a special guest this week. It's Laura Drago from the upcoming film To the New Girl. How you doing, Laura?
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Yeah.
And the lovely coworker, his wife, Jessie.
As co-worker and co-host, who I now purposely forget to introduce at the beginning.
Hi, sexy people.
It's always good to introduce you.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's just, you know what? It's because she's right next to me and I could see her and I always forget to.
I know. My husband and I do the same thing. You like kind of, you take each other's existence
For
for granted.
Yeah.
You don't
See?
mean to.
No, it's not just me. I mean, I'm looking right
No,
at her.
it's
I'm like,
everyone.
holy shit, I forgot to introduce her again.
Yeah, that's part of the initiation of being in
Yeah.
a real relationship, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Totally.
You're not in a true relationship till you forget about your partner.
Well, it's just like they're an extension of you, so it's really a compliment.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like you're like a third leg or a fifth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, gosh.
But, and, you know, as we always say, this whole podcast was Jesse's idea. So,
Wow. Well, that's
yes.
Yes, it was. It was
But-
something to keep the bond strong between
Yeah,
us.
something to do
That's
that's
smart.
in common, because we don't have, on paper, we don't have a whole lot in common.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Sorry. We kind of drifted off into crazy
No,
running
it's
at first.
fine.
Well, I mean, we are talking about relationships.
That's true, we are. That is the focus, or one of the, I guess, yeah, the focus of To the
Yeah,
New Girl.
actually, yeah, the play is sort of based on women who are writing letters to the new woman in their ex-lover's life. So to avoid getting to that point, you know, we can keep our relationships strong.
By starting a podcast. There you go. That's a tip to everyone.
I always find, Hunter, that that's always a taboo, touchy subject, exes, and the roles
Yeah.
they play now that there are exes, you know. It's
Yeah.
a very touchy subject.
Oh, and I apologize because I called her Laura Drago, and she specifically told me to call her Hunter Drago.
It's totally fine.
Drago.
Because
Sorry, not even, I butchered both
Well,
names now. Wow.
as I was explaining to you, it's a SAG-AFTRA thing where you can't have the same name as other people. So my real name is Laura, and I did used to go by Laura. So a lot of other people are confused anyway. So it doesn't.
Huh.
It's sort of a non-factor at this point. I usually go through this whole explaining thing with everyone. So like, no, now it's Hunter.
That's a cool name, though, overall.
It is.
I mean, that's one of those names that it could be like male or female, Hunter.
Yeah.
But I see more women with it than men.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I have a lot of people who are like, oh wow, that's a really memorable name. So that works out because it's relatively new for me. I've only been using it for the last like 2 years. It's my middle name, so it's not like it's.
Okay.
But it's a little bit confusing. Because lots of switching back and forth, and my email address is Laura, so it definitely gets people. Everyone always asks like, which is it? But anyway, yeah. To get back to the play. Yeah, my best friend from high school wrote this play called To the New Girl, sound advice for my former, oh my god, I'm going to butcher the title now, sound advice for my ex's wife or mistress. And it's basically a series of monologues, sort of in the vein of the vagina monologues,
Right.
which I don't know if you've ever seen, but it's kind of like one of those staple plays that everyone just performs at colleges and for V-Day and things like that. But this play is all about the women writing to the new woman in the man's life. So it's not necessarily directed at the exes. It's more about the women communicating to each other. And they're not always negative or angry letters. Some of them are very helpful. It's like they're giving advice to this new person. So it's I think people sometimes see the title and they think, oh, that's going to be like a total man-bashing thing, but it's definitely not. It's definitely more about kind of the communication that women have between each other.
I think I might be wrong, but I think that's you play a character in the upcoming movie, correct?
Yes, I do.
And your character is Karen, and you are telling the new girl that she should make your husband's favorite pork chops. Is the synopsis I have.
Yeah.
So you're not telling her to poison him, I'm guessing.
No. Yeah, it's the monologues are all very interesting. It's a very wide array of characters. We've got basically every age range. There's even an older woman whose husband has Alzheimer's and no longer remembers her, so he's fallen in love with someone else, and the monologue goes through her experience with that, and it's very loving. You know, she doesn't hold anything against him at all because obviously he's not even aware of what it's putting her through. So it's a really interesting show, just such a huge spectrum of different types of characters, and it's cool that it's all women, which is why we went ahead and decided to make the entire film made only by women. So we're using 10 female directors, a crew of women, and you often don't see women in a lot of these roles, but especially in like director of photography, crew positions, things like that. There's very few women who are working in Hollywood in those positions. So we're just sort of trying to shine a light on that and do a movie that just is 100% only women, and not to bash men, which I've been accused of on Twitter, but just to kind of give a little voice to a bunch of different people that we know in our community, and that's why we're using 10 different directors, one for each monologue, because we wanted to give an opportunity to as many people as we could to sort of put themselves out there and make it a very positive experience.
So that's unique because I'm sure there's been others, but I remember a movie it was Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino, and they took turns directing each scene in a movie. I think it might have had 4 directors, actually. It's called Four Rooms. And I always wondered what it's like to get multiple directors onto one film.
Yeah, I would think that normally it would be really difficult, but in this particular case, each of the monologues is self-contained. The characters never interact with each other, so it almost can be shot as, and which is how we're sort of approaching it, as 10 sort of short, independent films of each other, but that all have a common theme and that will string together to make a feature. And that's how the play runs as well. Each woman comes out, does her monologue, and then that's her piece, and she's finished. So I think it'll actually work pretty well. And what should be cool is we're trying to get directors who are coming from different perspectives. Some of them have done more music videos, some have done more narrative pieces, some are really into horror, so I'm really hoping that the end product has just a bunch of different aesthetics and different kind of points of view, so you can kind of see, a lot of different ideas and different talents from people who are coming from their own perspectives.
I find it very interesting, Hunter, how this theme has been turned around and it's almost like empowering, right? The message is very empowering overall. It's trying to say, to kind of gather a sisterhood, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I think that's definitely the idea behind the show, and I wish Sam had been available to talk tonight, the writer, because she wrote the play I think about 5 years ago, and it was sort of out of a similar concept to us in making this all-female movie, where she was writing for a theater group in Los Angeles, and they were noticing kind of how few roles they had available for women, and they had so many women in their company, which is often the case. There's a ton of male actors in LA, but there's, I would say, if you broke the numbers down, there's probably more women who move here to pursue it. And so that's sort of what the idea was born out of, was just that need of how can we showcase more of these people in our company that are so talented. I don't think that the intention ever was, any kind of a bashing thing. People always assume that. I don't know why. But really to kind of show the communication that women have with each other. And, while some of the monologues, the girls are pretty mad that the new guy has come along, or the new girl has come along, I think they're all rooted in just sort of that shared experience, because if you have been in a relationship with someone that someone else is now in a relationship, and you have a connection for sure.
There's almost like a sense of relief almost, like, oh good, it's not just me. And we all had that at one point in our lives, like, oh, it's not me, it's also, this other person verifies, because us women, we tend to go a little crazy with the idea that it's just us being isolated. And as soon as I read the synopsis of each one, I was like, oh, I could see why this person is relieved. Oh, I could see why the person kind of feels like the weight is kind of taken off their shoulders.
Yeah, I think definitely.
Right?
That's true.
Did you find yourself attached to your character or any of the other characters in a way?
What's funny is I think that there's a little piece, they're very universal monologues. That's why I compare it to the vagina monologues, which I think is such a universal piece that so many different people could perform. And it's been performed at a lot of universities, and because I think, which the vagina monologues is as well. And I think it's because it has that sort of universal theme, and a lot of people can connect to different parts of each monologue. I mean, I love all of them, obviously, because I'm producing the film. But the one that I'm doing is one that's very personal to Sam, who wrote the play, and I think actually all of them are. But I'm trying to think of another one that I just love. I love Faye, who is the youngest character. She's sort of going through a breakup, an ex-fiance that has like a drug problem. There's another character named Bethany whose husband has discovered that he's gay, and she's sort of dealing with that and how she's going to handle that. And that especially is a very she's very accepting in the end of the situation, and sort of beautiful in a way.
Yeah.
There's just a whole lot of different subject matters covered, and especially the one I mentioned before, where the husband has Alzheimer's, Harriet, is just honestly one of the strongest monologues written for a woman that I've ever seen. Like, I just want other people to see it, because I think that people would be just begging to perform it, because especially older women in Hollywood just don't have a lot of opportunity, and it's just such a strong piece, and every time I've ever seen it done, I'm just in tears, and it's just such a lovely really tribute to love, and how you can love someone through anything.
That's so beautiful that you say that. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's cool because Sam, who wrote the show, we've known each other for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. We went to high school together, and just to see her blossom as a writer and create something that I think is so powerful has made me really passionate about it, and about getting it out there. And it's fun to do that when it's your friend and you really want people to see their work.
So you mentioned, just going back a little bit, how the ratio of men to women in Hollywood, I think it's in part of your Kickstarter campaign, which we'll get to a little later. I think it was, 15% is women?
It's different for every profession. So I think the stats from last year were, and this is out of like the top 250 highest budgeted, wide release films, I think 9% of the directors were female. And I know only like 6% of cinematographers, 11% of writers. Those are the ones I remember off the top of my head. But yeah, we have a little infographic we made with those stats on our Kickstarter and on our website, because it really is kind of staggering when you think about it. Women make up half of the population, and how they're portrayed in media is so important, because it influences younger people who are watching films and how they see themselves, and to see diversity in film is important. Gender diversity, racial diversity, everything. It's so important that we promote that, because I think it's, it affects people in ways that we don't realize. When you're growing up and you only see women portrayed in a certain light, well, sometimes that's because the people telling the stories about women are men. And not that every story, that a man tells about a woman is bad, or, I love people like Joss Whedon. I love people that, there are certainly men that can tell women's stories incredibly well, but I just think it's important that we get different perspectives, and the role of a director is just so powerful, and people forget that. It's not just the actors. It's important that we have people behind the scenes, producers as well, who are not just the same group of dudes who are making every decision about putting out another, comic book movie. And I love those movies, but, there needs to be more diversity. And you see things like Elizabeth Banks, who directed Pitch Perfect 2, and that movie did so incredibly well. And now she's doing more big budgeted films, and that's so amazing to see. Just people sort of saying, you know what, we need to go ahead and move this in a different direction a little bit.
As I was saying, the mafia producers, to call them, basically, there's a group of them, and there's one lady producer allowed in the group, and she basically is just happy to be part of the group. When they do their female bashing, whether it be actresses or whoever may be, who's trying to be part of the group, they're very bashing like, and she just sits there and takes it, and is just happy to be one of the producers. And
Right.
I guess she's so passionate about making movies and whatever, she's willing to put up with that. But I
Right.
found that so disheartening,
Yeah.
you know, not standing up for us or trying to get in there. And I just think that's so sad. And how many times have we had that silent voice, you know, just to
Yeah.
be part of something, than rather not be. And it's just easier to just keep shut in the room.
Go
So,
along with it. Yeah.
you know, that's
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't heard that story, but that's really interesting. I'll have to read into that. Yeah, I mean, I can imagine though, because I think it happens. You know, it happens in every industry, really. And it's not always just, you know, a gender thing. There's other things that people, you know, stay quiet about, and just to kind of get things moving along or pass, you know, not cause an issue. And sometimes I understand that perspective, but I think that, you know, when you can speak up and find a way to, you know, create your own situations where that can be challenged, I think that's important. I think that's why we're trying to do something ourselves, because I've been in LA for, I don't even know how long, 5 or 6 years now. And, time here has no meaning. It's like, it's always summer. You're just sort of like, just rolling along. But I mean, it's an interesting experience, you know, for someone that's been auditioning for a long time. I lived in New York before that, and I went to NYU, and I've kind of been surrounded by people of varying degrees of success in the industry, and just to kind of see just how things are different for different people, and even my friends that are doing very well, like some of the interview questions that come to the female celebrities are just much different than those that come to the guys that I know that are doing well, you know, and I think it's like that Ask Her More campaign, you know, where they're asking people about what dress you're wearing, but they don't care about the role that you did or the work that you're doing or anything like that. And it trickles down into sort of an overall problem, and these little things that seem like not a big deal really are, at the end of the day, kind of contributing to a greater issue. But yeah, that's really sad about that producer mafia.
There's an upswing, I guess, lately, just I guess character-wise for female leads, and then you got like I guess they're producers like Tina Fey. I'm not sure who produced the new Ghostbusters.
You know, I don't know who produced it. And I haven't seen it yet, which I feel really bad about. I want to go this weekend. I didn't have time last weekend.
We want to see it too, but I was getting to Ghostbusters because, I mean, not only is it all female, at least the main cast, but the actress, I think it's Leslie Jones, has been catching a bunch of crap
I know.
recently. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure 100% what most of it's about. I've just been, you know, scanning the news.
Yeah. Well, when the trailer for that movie came out, which I think was in like December or something, there was just such a massive backlash of people, I mean, mostly guys, I guess, that were just really angry that they would redo, you know, I don't know, change their, what a beloved story of men. I don't know, it's terrible, but people were really freaking out, like it would really tarnish the legacy of Ghostbusters, which, you know, first of all, really, but yeah. I mean, second of all, it's like, why not? Like, and it's funny too, because this was part of the Sony scandal when all those emails were hacked years ago, and all that information about, you know, actresses and what pay they were receiving. I think there were even supposed to be some different actors in this movie at a certain point that had to decided to back out once that hack happened, and there was some backlash there. But yeah, Leslie Jones, who is so funny. I mean, she's in like a car or an insurance commercial right now. I can't remember what it's for.
Yeah,
but like, I literally stop, and I never watch commercials. I always watch it because it's so funny. She's hilarious, and it's really sad that people are being like, you know, a part of it is a Twitter issue where they haven't really gotten a handle on how to deal with people who are harassing people. And I've even personally had some issues with that, just on my own accounts, just people that would come along and say something really vicious or threatening even. And I'm not famous at all. So like, if that's happening to me, I can't imagine what's going on with celebrities. And I think with her, there were even like some pretty graphic images sent her way and stuff like, I mean, it's just disgusting. People are so like gross, and they're hiding behind a computer screen, so they have no repercussions. And, they're going to have to eventually figure out a way to sort of attach everybody, to their words or make people, I mean, people just have no accountability for what they say anymore. And it's bizarre.
That's what brings out the worst, or the real version of people, is when there's no accountability, or you can hide behind a mask. Sometimes it's a good thing, and sometimes, in this case, it's most of the time, it's just horrible. We had a guest recently, Alana Evans, and she's a former, adult film star, but currently like a professional video game player.
Right.
And
oh man.
So I was asking her, I mean, video game kids are not kids, adults are. Pardon, I don't care, we're not rated. They're assholes in general. Yeah. So I can imagine when you combine that with the ones that think they could talk any way they want because you were, in adult films. So she gets it from both ends.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, there's that whole, there's a huge group of people within the video game world, and I'm not involved in that at all, but I've heard from friends that Gamergate and all sorts of stuff where there's a lot of attacks on women in that industry. So I can't imagine her having worked in the adult entertainment world and then coming to that. I can't imagine. She must really get a ton of stuff.
She says her best revenge is if they're playing with her at the time, she just goes out and kills them in the game. That's the best revenge.
Well, I can't really blame her.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I could do that. I can't do that. And I find myself in stupid Twitter arguments, but I can't imagine. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a man, but I know women get it, because part of my real job is kind of monitoring this stuff, and lately we have, because of the political stuff going on, a lot of our employees are getting harassed by a specific guy, and the stuff that he says just it doesn't shock me anymore, but it's I don't know, it's like you said, it's like Jesse was mentioning, it's still like a boys club or a men's club out there.
Yeah, well, and to be fair, women can be. And there are women in the comments on like Leslie Jones's page. I mean, for sure, it's not only men. Or then sometimes there are people, like even with New Girl, we had a couple of people in the first week that it came out sort of say, "Oh, you guys are sexist," because I know it was like so ridiculous, like internet troll stuff. Like, and then there was a person that responded to that guy saying, "Well, I'm a woman and I think you're sexist too," like as though that qualifies her opinion. And I don't even know, I really thought to myself, like, I don't even know if you are a woman, because what happened then was the original guy who, when he commented, had a picture of himself as his profile picture, changed his picture to a picture of a woman and pretended that suddenly
he's a woman.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff on the internet. I used to write for a sort of popular blog, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, and there was a whole hate site attached to it, where I really think the readership of the hate site was higher than the readership of the blog. I mean, there were like 500 comments a day about, not necessarily related to me, but to other people who wrote for the blog, that were just like, I just don't know where people get the time. Like, what are you... Like, please use your energy to do something positive.
Like we said earlier, though, it just brings it out in people, because like you said, it's not just men, because one of the attacks were like people attacking, was it Leslie Jones?
Yeah.
And it was women, and one of them was talking about Ghostbusters and said the same thing you just said. There's a lady saying, "Oh, this is reverse
sexism."
Yeah, sexism. Like, you can't make you can't empower women without making fun of men and all this garbage. I said, what? I don't know how they said every man in that movie is an idiot and all this stuff. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, every guy is a moron. It's true. Every guy is a moron in the movie.
Well, what? Chris Hemsworth is in it. I don't think he's a moron. Does he play a moron? Is he like the blonde bimbo?
Kind of, sort of, yeah, along those lines.
Gosh, though, that's kind of funny. Because I'm not...
Oh, reversal.
He's brilliant and funny, though.
Most of the time, and as I was saying, I've been an auditioning actress for a long time, auditioning much more than working. And so I go out on a lot of like co-star auditions for TV shows or small roles in films. And I'm telling you, I can't remember the last time I went out for a role that wasn't like a dumb waitress or, and I'm blonde. So I guess that just attaches me to that immediately. But it's just, it's so much of the same. Whereas, if even supporting roles for men usually have a little bit more meat to them. Yeah. And there are, my husband is an actor too. And so he'll go out sometimes for roles that are very, like I think he auditioned, I don't want to say the name of the movie, but a movie that would have been like a lot of bathing suits and stuff like that. And, the role it was like a very objectified role.
I think I know which movie.
Yeah, you could guess. I just don't want to. He didn't get it, so it doesn't matter. But it exists on both sides. But I just think, it's just so much more on the side of women getting seen for
what inspires you, Hunter? What keeps you motivated to keep doing this? I mean, it's brutal out there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what keeps you, fuels you at the end of the day? I could do this. I mean, what is your pep talk? What is your...
I think at a certain point, part of it is just, this sounds horrible, but just, this is what I've always done. And why would I, give up on my dream, regardless of anything else.
I don't
but
think that's horrible.
Well, I mean, it doesn't sound very enthused. It's sort of like inertia, it just sort of, you just kind of keep doing the same thing. But I think at the same time, doing something like this where I'm trying to start creating my own work a little bit more and try and take a little bit more control, because I feel like for the last couple of years, I've kind of gotten really bogged down in how do I look? And, can I go out for this? Or am I too old to play that? And just, I think when you start to get into that cycle, there's just really no good thing that can come out of it for me mentally or for, anybody else who's kind of going through that. And I'm the assistant editor in chief of a website called Ms. in the Biz that is all about women in entertainment. And it's a pretty popular site, and it's got a good following. And I think we have 250 women that write for the site that are all in different aspects of the entertainment industry. So a lot of actors, but also directors, producers, people like that. And actually that was another thing that kind of gave me the idea to do this all-female film, because of that site, I've met a lot more women who are in crew positions and directors. And so I thought, I probably actually know enough people that I could pull this together now. But so that kind of a community inspires me, because it's all women who are very much about helping each other and promoting each other's projects and giving each other a pep talk and, hey, what can I do for you? How can we help each other? And I think finding those communities definitely keeps me motivated. More than there were times, especially when I first moved to LA and I didn't know that many people, where I just really got bogged down in, the superficial stuff. And I think you have to move past that and kind of find your own way in and where you're going to fit. And if you have to make yourself fit by creating something, then that's what you have to do. You only live once. So
there is a community of sisterhood out there in LA somewhere.
Absolutely. No, there absolutely is. In fact, and that's something that I think a lot of people don't know. And I can't speak to, no, that's not even true. When I go to auditions, I'm friends with so many of the other girls that I audition with, and you often audition with the same people because they have the same look as you. So you're going back for the same role. In fact, one of the girls who's in this film, the girl who plays Bethany, Skylar Vallow, she and I have been in for the same commercials before, and she's booked it and and we're friends. There's not that. I think that the idea that there's this catty, really brutal, competitive thing that's going on is not necessarily as true as people think, because I think everybody who's an actor has gone through the audition cycle and knows that it can be really stressful and miserable, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You're just going in and doing your best, and being mean to the girl next to you is not going to get you the part at all. So I think, I've never been on an audition where the girls in the room weren't being friendly to each other. So I think that's a misconception that people have about the industry, that it's so catty behind the scenes. Maybe when people get to a different level and tabloids, but that's all personal stuff. That's not about work,
Right. Because I was thinking, I just know from recent experience, because just from our podcast numbers in general, we don't do mega numbers or anything, but our best episodes are always when we have women or female guests. And they always get promoted more by other women in the same category. We even had last year, independent wrestling company was the first one, like, you know, a male-dominated wrestling company to have a female champion. And
Wow.
her name is Princess Kimberly, and I ended up, she was one of my guests before she ever did that, like the year before, actually, maybe 1 year before. And that was one of our highest rated, because it was just supported by all of her, like, counterparts.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right. And then we had, like, Rachel Alec. I'm not just doing this to pat ourselves in the back. I'm just saying that in
No.
general. She was in Last Call at Murray's. That
Cool.
was out recently. And same thing. All her counterparts, boom, 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 you know, helping promote it.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling Jesse. It's like, all right, well, you know, not just I mean, we've had male guests, don't get me wrong, but just as far as shameless self-promotion goes and, you know,
Yeah,
support,
helping each
the
other.
women are just a lot more, you know, everybody gives a reputation, they're catty, you know, I was joking with Jessie, she had a friend over the weekend that, like, women will, to each other's face, be like, oh, girl, you look good. And when she walks away, what the hell is that bitch? And stuff like that. Whereas guys will make fun of each other to their face. Like,
To their
you,
faces.
you look like crap. When they walk away, they go, hey, that guy's a good guy. They don't compliment each other to their face. So it's in reverse. But when it came to the workplace, the women are just much more of a team. I don't know, maybe it's because you're just so sick of, like you said, like the male-dominated society. Like, you know, if we don't do it together, we can't do it at all.
Yeah, I think there's definitely been something in the air in the last couple of years. You know, there's been, to me, a lot more press about people like I mentioned Elizabeth Banks and people kind of taking the reins back. And also I think because self-producing content has become really the name of the game now. So people can kind of, you know, jump on Kickstarter and try and get a project together that they really want to make and not be beholden to a bunch of, you know, people, studio execs, that are kind of making a lot of the same content over and over again. You know, not that there's not innovative stuff happening, but a lot of what comes out, especially feature films now, I think TV has got some really creative stuff going on, but features, you know, it's a lot of the same stuff over and over again. So I think to kind of push the independent community and help other people who are in the same position as you out is a great thing. And we've had nothing but support on the New Girl Twitter for this film from other people, even people who are currently running their own Kickstarter campaigns. Like, they're trying to raise money too, and they're retweeting our stuff and we're retweeting theirs. There's a great group called Women Occupy Hollywood that does like a crowdfund Tuesdays thing, and they support a whole bunch of different people who are all trying to get a project together, and it's really cool. I mean, there's a really great, strong community online of people who are just totally positive and excited for each other and like, yeah, go do it. We had a girl who I think lives in like London, who gave us like an incredible amount of money. I don't even know her, just because she was so excited about the prospect of, you know, featuring women in this way. And it's just really cool to kind of meet people like that and a very inspiring thing. You know, it's exciting for me to see that exists.
To flip the script, Hunter, I gotta ask your personal opinion about all the trashy all the trashy TV. But what's your opinion about the Real Housewives of all those different?
You know, I have never watched, like, I've never seen an episode of The Kardashians. Like, I'm so out of touch on that stuff. I watched The Bachelorette, like I watched The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, but I also watch Unreal, which I don't know if you've seen, but is like amazing. It's like the Lifetime. It's a scripted show that's sort of.
Do you like that trashy, like, you know what I mean, like that?
No, I don't. I mean, I've gotten into, when I was getting married, I started watching The Bachelor because I was just sort of like laughing at it, which is what most people do, I think. I don't know, but you know, I think, I guess my opinion is that if it makes people happy to watch stuff like that, then like, good for them. That's fine. Like, to each his own. I don't know that it's necessarily doing anything good for society. But you know, who am I to say, you know, it's better than a lot of things people could be doing with their time. At least they're not on the internet writing hate comments, you know, if they're watching TV.
Where do they find the energy to write all that stuff? That's what
I always said. There are people, I mean, you're right. Sometimes it's the same person over and over again. And you have to, in a way, find some empathy in yourself to feel sorry for them, because they must be so miserable. I mean, to just be, because it doesn't feel good, you know. I mean, I've been a middle school girl. Like, I've been mean before when I was 10, 12 years old. Like, it does not feel good. I can't imagine it feels good to them to get online and write those comments. They've got to, like, you know, at the end of the day, question themselves. Well, there was even a really great article a couple years ago about a wife that found out that her husband was an internet troll and like had never known, like it was a totally different side of his personality and it like destroyed their relationship. And it was fascinating.
I totally would be
I
upset.
think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, totally upset.
He had a whole other identity online,
totally
and I forgot what it. I might be thinking of something different because he ended up getting like prosecuted for it.
Maybe that might be it. It was a couple years ago, so I don't remember the whole story.
Yeah, it's like just a little light bulb. I remember reading the article about it. And,
it was fascinating. But it would be. It's like almost like you had a second family. You know, it's like it's just a totally flip the switch different. You know, if somebody can go there. What does that say about them?
I don't know if that's just the repressed side. Like, I think these days everything is, I mean, I'm not encouraging people to go out and be assholes, but I'm saying it's like a politically correct atmosphere there where people are just afraid to say what they really think, and when they finally do, it's just horrible stuff. Because maybe little things that they've wanted to say, they just never say. Or they're afraid to disagree.
Because I don't think people are afraid to say what they want to say.
I know a lot of people that aren't, but there's some people that'll only do it, like he said earlier, with being anonymous.
Let it boil up.
Yeah. Or no, I mean, they'll do it behind the keyboard. They won't do it to someone's face.
Right.
They won't say it to their boss. They'll go say it to, Leslie Jones instead.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's a whole country full of that right now.
Yeah.
Donald Trump.
Yeah, most of them
oh my God.
Donald Trump, probably.
Don't even get me
started.
started
On that. Or, but I don't want to make this like a
We
big
should make it lighthearted. We should
just
some lighthearted questions.
Back to happy stuff. We were saying Hollywood, and earlier we were saying there's like a whole. It's not a recent trend, but because it almost started. Well, it didn't start. I remember it's just a theme of like strong female leads. It happened years ago. Sigourney Weaver was an alien, in Aliens, and then it kind of dropped away for a little while. But then you had Angelina Jolie brought back the strong female lead.
Tomb Raider,
Wanted. God, I can't remember which other ones she did. And now it's Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
It's like a walking gold mine. She can do no wrong.
She really can't. She's amazing. She's so talented and everything she does a really great variety of
she really does. And you can tell
like Hunger Games and then Joy. I just watched Joy, which didn't get as much traction as I think they were hoping, but I loved that movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it was just the case. I don't know if it was just bitterness to her because she's had so much success recently. Yeah. Where it's kind of like Tom Hanks, those 2 consecutive years when he won, Philadelphia and then Forrest Gump, and then didn't matter how good he was, anything else after that. Like, you got your 2, buddy. Piss off. We're not giving you any more.
I don't know. I think he might have a shot next year because that Captain Scully movie's coming out. I love Tom Hanks.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up seeing the funny Tom Hanks, so to see him do these serious roles. But I have a theory where if you're a great comedic actor, you just are that much better when you have to be serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Robin Williams.
Totally.
Except for Jim Carrey. He didn't do as well in the serious categories.
You know what, though? The Truman Show is great.
That is great,
great.
But he was good in that, but he was like oblivious, in his character.
Maybe, yeah.
But and then he did, I forgot, Majestic and stuff like that. And I just think his audience, he didn't do a bad job. His audience just didn't want to see it.
Yeah, it's everything, like you were saying before about, strong females were big for a while and then it kind of went away. It's all about money. I don't even know if it's ever, with features especially, and now because it's so hard to get, people just don't go see movies as much as they did, 10 years ago. It's really become kind of all about TV, but features that, that's why there's so many of these Marvel movies and Batman's coming back and Suicide Squad and all this stuff because that's what people go see, and they want to, I get it, they want to make money. They have to because it costs money to make movies. But so I don't know, how that's why the independent film community is so important because it brings in some different perspectives and it has the ability to do that because you don't have as much riding on it. But it's a tough conundrum because as much as it's, frustrating to see kind of the same thing being produced over and over, that's what people are going to see. Now then, to that end, something like Pitch Perfect, which has done so well as a franchise, and I think they're making a third one, there is an audience for women's films.
I admit, Hunter, I would see Pitch Perfect 7.5. I've never seen. I love them.
Yeah, me too.
I'd watch it.
I love Bridesmaids.
Oh, me too. Bridesmaids is so fun. I could watch if Bridesmaids is on TV. Like I will stop what I'm doing and like watch the whole thing.
and I think I've only seen half of it.
No, so good.
Oh my gosh, you
From
have
the
to watch
so
it.
from the
good.
plane scene to the end. That's all I've seen.
Well,
I-
Melissa McCarthy too. She's
Nailed
done
it.
some movies that like people are like, oh, that movie was terrible. She's always funny to me. Like
Always.
anytime I turn on one of her movies, even if I didn't see it in the theater, even if I'm watching it on demand or something, I always like Spy, which a bunch of my friends were like, oh, that was terrible. I laughed so much. Like if I laugh, I'm good. Like
Sometimes people
I
are
cry.
afraid to admit they like a movie because it didn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or it's not popular.
She's
not
great.
popular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so-
she's so funny. Well, and somebody I know had a very good point recently about when Fuller House came out. And, you know, not that Fuller House is even trying to be this critically acclaimed show, but it really did get panned by a lot of people. And someone was saying, you know, we need to, when you review content, sometimes you need to look at who the content was made for. And sometimes movies or TV shows that were made directed towards women are just negatively reviewed without being given kind of a second thought, because people I know love that show. I watched it twice. Like I was so happy because it was like reliving my childhood, and I did not care about anything else, you know, and in that regard, I thought it was great, you know, and so there's a million different reasons why someone can enjoy something, and that's why we're lucky to live in an era where there is so much content. You know, there's so many TV shows. We were talking about sci-fi before, and even they have like a crazy amount of great scripted shows now that there's so many options available, and hopefully all those options can eventually kind of create more equality for people so that everybody's getting content that's geared towards them.
There's just so much out there that I can't even keep up with a weekly show. I don't care
yeah.
how good it is or how much people like Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I started watching it. I was up to season 3 because I had a super long commute, so I used to watch it on the way to work.
Oh,
And
smart.
as soon as it shortened, I was like, I'm not trying to watch this anymore because I just cannot.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it as a kid when you'd wait till next week for the next episode of whatever you were into. But for me, it was, what was it, Melrose Place. Remember that spin-off from 90210?
Yeah, I watched it.
Where people never left their apartment complex, apparently. They were just there all the time,
Oh,
screwing each other over. But, I mean, people would go to the bar to watch that. It was like How I Met Your Mother. I would see, because we lived in New York up until last year, and they would have meetups just to watch that show.
I bet.
But now I can't even sit through a full show. I just don't have the attention span for it. I don't know if I need Ritalin or something like that.
Well, it's just that we've gotten used to the sort of binge era. I mean, I do the same thing. I can't get into a show until I usually wait, because a lot of times stuff gets canceled and I don't want to get attached. So I'll wait until something's been on for a couple years, and then I'll binge watch the first couple seasons, and then I'll get into like the weekly.
Oh, I see. And you catch up to it.
Yeah, but when I was little, it was like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like every week
Okay.
I watched that, and my dog's name is Buffy now.
I was supposed to go to her baby shower.
Oh, really?
Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie
Aw.
Prinze Jr.'s baby shower.
That's so funny.
It's very ironic. That was the height of it, too. I was like, but I wasn't a fan. It was so funny.
Oh, really? That's
No,
funny.
it was like, no. And everybody's like, what?
That's funny.
You were bummed when they just canceled the new Muppets. That was a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never got to see that one.
We got attached.
It's okay. Like you said, it depends on the audience you're targeting, and even though it was the Muppets, they were going for, I guess, the 18 to 25s, or
Right.
a lot of
Yeah.
references, pop culture, and like double entendres and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
kids want to see the puppets, and I think they lost out. Although there is this great off-Broadway show called, I think it's in Vegas now, called Stuffed and Unstrung, or Puppet Up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's all improv, but with the Henson group. If you ever get a chance
Oh.
to go see it, you should. It's the funny. I mean, it's as funny or unfunny as you make it, because they take
Right.
everything from the audience. But we've seen it twice. It's never not been funny. Now it's in
never
Vegas,
not.
so you can go
Yeah.
back and
Yeah,
see it.
so
But I mean,
Oh, I should go.
you should. All right, we're into the woods here, though, so I want to try to swing it back to what we have you on the show for.
Oh, sure. Well, whatever.
Oh no, just, I know you have coworkers or people produce like, when is she going to talk about that?
It's really me that has responsibility to me, so it's fine.
Okay. I was going to say one of the, and I confused them anyway, but we had last couple episodes ago, it was Crystal Scott, and she's making Girl Clown.
Girl Clown,
And
yeah.
same boat as you are, and she said the same thing. If you self-produce it, it's just, you could get it out there. You're not a slave to some big money guy who's trying to tell you who to put and not to put in a movie.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. So there's that freedom, and I guess the sacrifice is you're just not going to have the monster budget. But that's not the case with the new girl, because like you said, it's just going to be like monologue where, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but I know that it's been a play for about 5 years now.
Yeah.
Samantha Mocker, right, is the writer?
Yes. Yeah.
And, so the movie version, are you gonna see the acting out of these individual monologues, or is it just gonna focus on the actress talking?
Well, the idea is that we're going to shoot sort of 2 pieces. So the monologues themselves are going to be shot in a theater space, to sort of pay homage to the fact that this is a play. And then each director, so that we'll have 10 different directors, 1 for each monologue, and each director will make a short sort of companion film to go along with the monologue that will be live action. So those will sort of tell the story of the monologue, or some of them may do something a little bit more experimental. We have somebody who's talking about doing sort of a dance piece that goes with the monologue. So those will be intercut with each other. So it will be a basic performance of the monologue, but then we're going to expand upon it with a short film.
Okay.
Oh, so that's cool.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
I was wondering what the format would be, because when you have something that's like strictly character based, like you said, in a theater.
Yeah, that was, we kind of worked back and forth for a long time on what we were going to do, and what we came to was really that it was important for us to have more than one director. We didn't just want one person to direct, because if the idea is that we're trying to promote women in film, just having one female director just didn't seem like enough to me. Like, I know so many people that are in the industry, and I just wanted to give as many of them a venue as possible. So, and then when we thought of that, that was really exciting, because we decided to kind of pull people who have different backgrounds and different experiences, and so I think it'll come together as something really interesting. But it will probably feel more like a series of short films that are on a common theme than one entire feature length. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like when you see like a shorts program at a film festival, it'll be in that vein, but they are all on the same topic. And I don't know, in the editing process, we'll see what happens. We're just sort of very open to whatever kind of comes our way. And maybe there's a way that we intertwine them more, or pay reference to, I may shoot a shot at the end of all the women on stage together, something like that kind of ties it together at the end.
That's cool, because it's hard to, I was wondering, like, when you said stringing it together, well, this makes no sense at all. I have one idea in my head and my mouth is saying something else. I apologize. Because, like you said, it's not all negative. The women are addressing, like, the new girl. May or may not be them bashing them. But, because I always think of Sex in the City, and as a guy, we used to call that show, like, I Hate Men. We used to call it, because it just seemed like they were, always bashing the guy, even though they weren't, but, to the common guy. So it's hard to walk that line and not turn it into, because even when you're not, like we were talking about Ghostbusters earlier, people just, I don't know, people are just so sensitive. About certain things. But this has nothing at all to do with what I was about to ask you. But Jessie has a question first. Go ahead.
Hunter, would it be interesting, because you know how when Elizabeth Gilbert came out with that famous book, Eat, Love, Pray, and it talked about her personal experience and what had happened to her when she was going through her divorce and all that. And then the guy, her now ex-husband, came out with a book of his version of what happened.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and he went to Israel and went on a pilgrimage, and I thought it was really interesting. So I go, would it be interesting if you flipped the script in terms of from all those guys' point of views as well?
That's a question for Sam, for sure. I feel like that's something that she would be into,
Well, I never read or heard the vagina monologue, so I'm not, is it just like different women? What is that? Like it's basically a series of monologues, and just a lot of times it's performed on like V-Day. It's very anti-domestic violence, anti-rape. People, a lot of times actually it's even performed where it's meant to be a monologue, but they'll perform it with a group of women. So it's a very empowering show. It was written quite a while ago. I'm trying to think of how long, and I don't want to say it's a long time ago, because I remember like the job that I was doing and seeing it in the Village. For it, and that was like 2005 maybe, or
I think it's maybe even older than that, but it's a very inspiring show, and this isn't exactly like that, because that is almost written, it's sort of like spoken word poetry, if you're familiar with that kind of theme. So that show feels very much that way, and a lot of times it's almost even performed as almost like street theater rather than like a fully produced show. And it doesn't need, a whole lot of production. And that's why I think it gets performed so much. This is similar. This has more of a story, I think. And it's obviously a different subject matter, but we do touch on domestic violence and things like that, just women's issues that usually come up when you're writing about women. But yeah, it's got a similar component where I think you could perform it in a production situation where you don't need much. It's not like you need a big set. I think a lot of the colleges that have produced it have done it similar to the Vagina Monologues, where they've done it just like in a black box theater with just the actors coming up and doing their pieces. So it's inexpensive in that regard, which is something that helps it get produced, and is something that you have to think about when you're writing plays and films. And one of the reasons we decided we could produce this ourselves with the help of Kickstarter, because it's not a very expensive piece to make, because half of it will be shot in the same theater space, so you're not dealing with a ton of locations and you're not relighting a bunch of different things. So it helps keep the costs down, and that's obviously a factor, unfortunately.
Oh, hey, it's a good strategy to use.
Yeah, you have to think about, I think I have so many friends who they're writing a screenplay and it's great, but it's like science fiction and there's so much going on, and that stuff just costs so much money. And I think, you have to kind of know the situation you're in and figure out, okay, well, what's the best piece that we can produce for the situation that we have, Yeah,
it's hard because that's just a popular genre, I guess. It's sci-fi, fantasy. Yeah. That's all you see. Like you said, all the Marvel movies, DC movies.
Yeah.
And but I think even Robert Downey tried to get away from it, and he made a movie with might have been Robert Duvall or something a couple of years ago. He was a lawyer, and his dad was a judge.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, is it called The Judge?
The Judge, and he specifically made it because he was like, hey, there are other movies out there. But I don't know.
That's actually a good movie.
Yeah, I don't know how successful it was, but he made it deliberately to show that there's more than just big explosion movies going on.
I think Robert Duvall got nominated for an Oscar for that movie. So that's success for sure. Yeah, it was a good movie. I remember it because I got a screener of it and we watched it.
So this is a pretty basic question, but what was it that made you want to be an actress to begin with?
Gosh. It's so long ago. I've thought about this a lot because it's like you base your whole life off of the decision of like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And like what would have possessed me? I was so shy as a child. So it's very strange that like this is what I think I've narrowed it down to I really wanted to be an astronaut, but I'm terrified of heights. And I wanted to be a soccer player, but I'm not good at soccer. And so I thought, I could just play both of those things in movies, and then I can do lots of things. I just want to have, experience lots of careers and try lots of different things. And I think that's kind of what sparked it. And then I got into theater because of that weird realization as a kid, and it just stuck. And I did plays all through school and high school, and I went to NYU for college for acting. And so yeah, basically I'm living off of the decision of a 5-year-old, but it's funny because, I think I got into it, like I said, because I wanted to do so many different things. And as an actor that is not always working, or very rarely working, to be fair, I have day jobs and I have other things that I do. And I actually do have a lot of careers. So I kind of got my wish in a way, which is sort of funny because I do marketing for companies as my day job, and I do a lot of writing, and I work for this website about women in film. So it's just sort of a lot of different hats, and I enjoy that actually. So it's sort of worked out in that way.
Well, a lot of creative types are that way, as authors, comic book artists and stuff like that. And,
no, I find I like to have a lot of stuff going on. Like I'm happier when I'm a little bit overwhelmed.
So was there any particular film or actress or actor that you saw and you're like, I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely when I was little, it really was Tom Hanks, which is funny. It's like we're saying that there just aren't always that many women to look up to. Not that they're, Meryl Streep is also a big inspiration for me, but Tom Hanks' movies, Apollo 13 was like a big movie for me when I was little. I just like really attached to that because of the astronaut thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
I like that movie though.
It is a great movie. It's a great movie.
Let's not lie. Astronauts are cool.
They're cool. They're
just
cool. Freaking awesome. Yeah, they go into the sky.
How hard it is to be. They were doing like that long arithmetic on.
Yeah.
You get one thing wrong and you're dead.
Yeah, and I got into they did a lot of behind the scenes stuff when the movie was popular, and they showed a lot of the they did have them fly to create the zero gravity effect, and they would like drop the plane. I don't know if you remember this, but it was a great like marketing campaign about all this weird stuff they had to do to make the film happen. And I just was really interested in that like aspect of it, how many different pieces kind of have to come together to create films, and so then I was just fascinated by that, and then did everything I did after that in pursuit of the same thing. So
that's great. I mean, I was little, and they kind of forced us into doing stage stuff in grade school and things like that. I mean, I didn't mind it, but it was never. I don't know. It was never anything that stuck with me. As much as I loved movies and stuff like that, I don't think I ever thought I could be in one. So I didn't have that open-minded thing. I'm too realistic for my own good. Even when I fantasize about things, I'm like fact-checking them.
You're being when's your birthday?
September. I'm a Virgo.
Virgo, yeah.
He's
well,
super
there
Virgo.
you go. I should have guessed it. I could have guessed it, right?
Even if I dream I'm flying, I'm like, but it'll be cold up there. I can't just fly,
I'm an Aquarius.
Jesse can fly with no problem.
I can fly. I built the wings already. I'm like, put the wings on, hon.
You've got it under control.
I'm like, those wings look flimsy.
Yeah, I'm like, just try them on. It'll be fine.
That's funny.
I like wearing many hats too. I'm just like you. The many roles I play, I'm constantly ever evolving, and I think that's a really big sense of fun.
Yeah.
Freedom to it, I guess.
Yeah, freedom and fun, right?
Well, and you want to try everything and just kind of see what sticks, and it's fun. It's fun to, even my day job in marketing, I work for companies in completely different industries. Like I'll work for a healthcare industry, I'll work for a tech industry, and it's fascinating to me, and this is my actor brain, just sort of learning about what makes everybody tick,
Well, it's true. It's constant research. Yeah. You never know when you're going to have to play someone doing that. Yeah. All right. Well, this is a segment of our show that we are now calling the 10 Questions of Doom.
Oh, great.
Because we are, and we're not ashamed to say it, we just steal it from the Actor Studio questions and rename it for our purposes. So I'm sure maybe one day we'll see you on that show, but in the meantime, you just cheat and answer the questions now.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to just keep them in order. So we will start. I don't have the guy's voice, obviously. I sound like him on helium. But, all right. Because that guy has such an awesome, I don't know his name, but
he has the best voice.
Oh, and now I can't remember James Lipton?
Yeah.
Lipton? Yeah.
Okay. The best is when he curses, because he never...
Yes.
Dave Chappelle. Anyway, getting out of the way. But that was a great one. If you haven't seen it, him and Dave Chappelle.
I have seen that one. I love Dave Chappelle.
All right. All right. So number one is, if you don't already know them, what is your favorite word?
Love.
Ah, sweet.
What is your least favorite word?
Words I can't say, like any.
Oh no, you can say them. Oh, you mean?
I'm not going to say them. Like any racial or sexist word. Just.
I thought you meant a word you couldn't pronounce.
Oh no.
Okay. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
People who want to create community and who want to help each other.
Okay.
What turns you off?
So the exact opposite of that, people who are unwilling to collaborate.
Okay, here's my favorite one. What is your favorite curse word?
It's definitely fuck.
Okay. I like combination words, like jackass. Or...
You need like the whole,
the whole
it's just that it's got such a good.
Yeah, it's just like it's got a good ending to it. And you can say it different ways. Like Samuel Jackson's a master of it.
He's made an entire career.
Yeah, I'm saying it, I know. Because he's so angry when he says it.
Yeah, he does it well.
Okay.
What sound or noise do you love?
Any sound that my dog makes. Except when she cries.
Oh. Okay, what sound or noise do you hate? Hate's a strong word, but...
Donald Trump's voice.
Right.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I think I could have been a good therapist.
Huh.
That's a very actor answer, because I
Okay.
think we're therapists. We're like trying to get into characters' heads.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, what profession would you not like to try?
Toll booth operator.
Sitting there all day long.
Yeah.
Just nothingness. Yeah.
All right, this is number 10. You're blowing right through these.
Yep. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Or your equivalent. Buddha.
Just like, oh, good. I'm glad you're here. Everyone you love has been waiting for you. And your dogs are here. You know.
Yeah. So you'd ask
Everybody's
me, what are
here.
you doing here? That's what he'd tell me.
You
What? Just, pointing in the other direction. You wouldn't even talk to me.
I'd probably be reading a map. I want to know where everything is. Where am I going?
Where's the mall?
I need to know where the bathroom
The mall
is.
of heaven.
Like
The golden toilets.
to know where everything is. Thank you, God.
That's funny.
Well, thank you. See, you survived the 10 questions of doom.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. I made it out alive.
Okay. Now, before we wrap things up, we want to touch on where everyone could find everything you're doing. So why don't you start with where they could find your Kickstarter?
Okay, so the Kickstarter is, how do I say the URL? It's bit.ly/to-the-new-girl. So bit.ly/to-the-new-girl. And then our website is tothenewgirl.com. And you can find us on Twitter at newgirlfilm.
Ah, great. And what about you individually?
Oh, me individually. You can find me at hunterdrago.com. And my Twitter handle is Ms. MS Hunter Drago.
It's a very slick website, too. I was checking it out earlier.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm also a web designer, so jack of
really?
all trades here.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you for being a guest.
Thank you guys so much. This was great. It was so nice to talk to you.
Oh, likewise.
It was an absolute pleasure.
Oh,
Pennsylvanian actor studio guy voice.
I love it.
And, well, I mean, like I said, I sound like a 9-year-old, so.
Not at all. I don't know.
But,
Everyone hates the sound of their own voice. I hate the sound of my
If
voice.
you put your finger in your left ear and listen to yourself talk, that's how you sound to other people.
Oh, dear, no.
I'm not going to do that. That's just,
no,
I
no.
can't even watch myself on film. It's terrible.
I was
yeah,
on
like that.
Ink Master Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
And I was telling everybody, yeah, I'm going to be on it. And then I was like, holy shit, I don't want anybody to see
Why
this.
did I tell
Why did I
people?
tell people?
Yeah, I do the same thing anytime I'm in something. I'm like, now I just wait, or somebody will like text me and be like, did I see you in that? I'm like, yeah, don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. Oh, it's the worst. And it didn't do my hair or anything. It was just like, hey, go on.
No.
There was like a pit crew around Dave Navarro, and then I was like, hey, can I get a hairbrush? And they're like, let's go. You're on. I was like, what the f-? And, it was a nightmare.
Totally, always how it is.
Yeah, anyway, totally derailed everything we were just
That's
doing.
okay.
But like I said, if you'd like to, maybe, I don't know what the timetable is to get the film going.
Yeah. We have until August 9th on the Kickstarter, so we have about 3 weeks.
Oh, okay, great.
Cool.
And to everybody's listening, make sure you get over there, pitch in. Every dollar counts.
Go! Even $1 gets a reward. So
That's right. Oh, okay.
Oh, look at that, $1.
Yeah, we have a Women in Film bingo set. It's actually pretty hilarious.
If you want to send me that bingo set,
I will. I will send it to you.
love that for $1.
But yeah, we're trying to keep this a theme, so if you got any castmates, cast members,
Sure.
send them our way. I think we have coming up is the movie's called Housebroken, but I
Cool.
forgot her name already. Yeah, she was referred to me by Crystal Scott. But
Oh, nice. Yeah, Crystal's been great. She's been really active on our Twitter, and she supported our film, too, so that was awesome.
All right, and we are going to have this episode played out by another independent creator. Her name is Katie Day. So we're going to have one of her songs played.
Oh, awesome.
Hi, Katie.
So it's a theme we're going to be going on for the next.
Yeah, Katie.
Way to go, Katie. So, thank you again, Hunter. And
Thank you so much.
hopefully we can get you back with Samantha.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Pick her brain a little bit.
Yes.
Get her
Sure.
to tell her favorite dirty word.
Yes. That'd be fabulous.
All right. So thank you, and we will catch everyone next time on the podcast about nothing.
It's been a long time coming, feeling like 100 years. Rain all summer, but something in the air I'm feeling. So maybe you can dry your tears away, away. Baby, I lost my mind, just thinking we could wear the crown. I think it's worth the fight, so don't you give up on me now. Cause when the gods decide it's about damn time, we're gonna pop champagne by the lakeside. When the evening comes, when the stars align, we're gonna pop champagne, gonna pop champagne by the lakeside. Talking about the hard times, tears cried, that don't even mean a thing. It's on and up now, and I know all the heartbreak frustrates, but all of that was yesterday. It's gone away. Baby, I lost my mind, just thinking we can tear it down. I think it's worth the fight, so don't you give up on me now. Cause when the gods decide it's about damn time, we're gonna pop champagne by the lakeside. When the evening comes, when the stars align, we're gonna pop champagne, gonna pop champagne by the lakeside. Gonna pop champagne by the lakeside. When the evening comes, when the stars align, we're gonna pop champagne, gonna pop champagne by the lakeside.